Computer. Okay, done. Okay, hi everyone. It's 4 o'clock in London, 11 in New York, 9:30 in India, and thank you all for joining us from all parts of the world. So today's webinar is about the textile and apparel industry, but focused on the premium sector. We're great to have people from all over who are here, who can give their inputs. And don't be shy. It's very informal, it's very casual. The idea is to gain from this, to make connections with people, because we've all got very interesting people here. And obviously in future, grow your business, see where you can make connections, and how you can grow together and connect with each other, because today with the world, it's all about connections. So I'm just going to start with a bunch. So we have from Serbia, right, ma'am? Is that right? You have to unmute yourself. Sorry. Asked to unmute. Yeah.
Can you unmute her?
Yeah, I just unmuted you.
It's still mute.
You need to wait. You need to unmute yourself.
Do you want?
Yeah, we got you. Perfect,
from
perfect.
India.
Thank you.
Surprise. Yeah,
okay, so perfect.
I'll just take a wave at you guys. This is Arvind.
Hi, Arvind. Arvind, we'll get to you in a minute.
I'll just introduce.
We'll get to you in a minute. We're going to just get to our other people first, and then we'll get to you as well. Okay, so first, can you tell me again how to say your name so I don't mess it up? Sorry.
That's right. Sladiana.
Sladiana. Okay, perfect. So why don't you start by telling us where you're from?
If it's easy, it is Slanja.
Slanja. Okay, great. So
okay,
maybe you can start.
I'm coming. Yeah. Okay.
So you can just start by telling us about
I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, you can hear me? Yeah. Please. So maybe you can start by telling us about your company, the cluster of what you do, and exactly where your markets. And then I'll also bounce back some questions. Then we'll ask our audience questions, and then we can take it from there. How does that sound?
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So you can go ahead. You can shoot. Tell us about what you do. Yeah.
Okay. I'm coming from Serbia, and I represent fashion apparel cluster of Serbia. It is a group of 20 companies dealing with their own brands. They have their own production, and they have also their own brands exporting as well, especially in ex-Yugoslavian country, but not only there. We have some of them exporting in EU and worldwide. So maybe your focus is more, as I see, on the production level, and about companies they are dealing a business like producers for the very famous brands, etc. And also in Serbia we have some kind of the companies, but I really do 10 years with the companies with their own brands and design. But in this moment we have 1,800 companies in the textile industry, and half of them are in a small range, in a micro and small companies working and in the production level. Another are large companies, also foreign investments companies such as Calcedonia, Golden Lady, Falke, Benetton, and others. They are working their own brands here in Serbia and exporting their countries. And also it is a group of 20% of the total group representing and working in their own production with their own brands. That's the situation in the Serbia. In the global, we have a very good export figure for the last year. We have in a total for our small country, it is very close to 100,000 employees, and we have a 1.2 billion dollars in export. So for Serbia, it is really a very important figure.
So you mentioned the main countries that you export to. Which are the main countries that you export to?
For our companies from Serbia, the main market is ex-Yugoslavian company. It is meaning Slovenia, Croatia, Montenegro, Bosnia, Serbia, but as well Bulgaria and Romania, some of them, but not. The main market is ex-Yugoslavian plus EU.
Now one question about are you all manufacturing everything, or are you all importing fabrics as well, or like from China, from India? How does that work?
Yeah.
Can you just tell us? Yeah.
Yes, of course. In Serbia, it is not to exist the real production of the textile fabrics materials. So we are in the situation that we need to import mainly all of fabric and materials, and our the biggest importer at this moment in Serbia are from about fabrics and yarns are coming from, and for the leather, of course, from Italy, Germany, Turkey, and then China. So we are mainly focused on EU and Turkey as import destination for the Serbian brands. And that's maybe different than others, but it is our situation. And why it is so? It is because we are really so small country, you know. We cannot have so much big quantities that desire companies from Far East, or for example, to cooperate with India. They really need a high quantities for us, but we are not in that level like Zara, like you know, other companies. So we are mainly focused on a small level of production, but successful, I can say.
But more for the premium brands.
No, we have in our cluster group, we have our own brands. Okay, it is Serbian brands. Okay, and we are working for our designers for our own brands. Okay, and it is a middle range level prices for the brands. It is not cheap brands. It is a middle. We have, for example, some of our companies exhibit in a Pure London, in the Premium
Vision. I know. I've seen you all in Premier Vision. Some of the companies, yeah.
Yes, that's it. But if we talk about other companies in Serbia, they are not in our cluster, because our cluster represent only fashion apparel brands. Okay, but if we are talking for other companies in Serbia, yes, they are doing manufacturing for other brands from EU, especially from Italy. It is mainly known, everybody knows that brands, they are high level of brands.
Of course, yeah.
And Italy and Germany, and now since 2-3 years ago, we are starting to work more with the UK.
Yes, that was one of my questions that I was going to ask you. So you're working directly with stores, or for brands private label in the UK? Where are you seeing more of your business?
Okay, it is really divided. So when I am talking about cluster group of the companies, they have their own franchise concept of the stores in ex-Yugoslavia, and at this moment we have 400 shops all over. It's our own shops for our 20 brands, you know. But if we are talking about another way of promotion or to selling, for example, in EU, yes, we are selling it through the distributors, okay, in Germany, in UK, and another, okay, and they are putting in some stores, you know, whatever, okay. But if we are talking on another part of the companies, they are not in our cluster, but they are in our network. They are working, as you know, for the very famous brands.
Okay, just another question. If you're looking as a cluster to which are the markets that you see a future in? Where would you want to grow your business for the cluster? Where, so we can just understand more, which are the target markets for you and which are the ones that you are looking to expand in?
Yeah, thank you. For us, the target market is EU market, because we find out it very much similar with what we are doing in our style, because we are really have a very good style. It is more or less most close to the Italy, and we are also supporting our companies through the cluster with the WGSN platform. So we are very much in the focus with that line. But of course, we also would like to have export businesses in Russia, if it's possible, to use our trade agreement, because Serbia is only one country in the EU with a trade agreement with Russia with a zero for export business. So it's a very good opportunity to us, and we tried sometimes to going on an expo and to expose ourselves and to promote ourselves on the fairs, but only few of the companies now dealing with Russia. It is not so much. So our focus mainly, I can say, it could be EU.
EU. Okay, great. Now I'm just gonna ask if anyone wants to ask you any questions, but more,
Yeah.
and after that I want to move to Devansh, who is he is a fabric factory based out of the US and India, and then he can tell us about what he does, and we'll get to the other panelists, and then we're going to have some interactive discussions. So does anybody want to ask Snejana any questions or anything? Okay, so we'll move to Devansh. Devansh, please go ahead, tell us more about what you do.
Yeah, thank you, Tarun. Snejana, thank you for your information. So I'm Devansh Kiani, and we own a textile mill. It's a family-owned mill in India. It's one of the oldest mills, called Walson Dyeing, Bleaching, and Printing. It specializes in discharge printing on cotton and rayon fabrics for women's apparel, contemporary fashion. We were the pioneers of this type of printing in India, and there's very few people that do it. You dye the fabric and then you print over it the next day, and you steam it, and then it oxidizes through. So the front and the back of the fabric looks almost the same. It's got the highest color fastness. The issue is that it takes more time, it costs more money, and it uses more water and resources. So it's not sustainable. The only thing which you could argue about it is that it has a longer life and it doesn't fade. So you could actually use your apparel for a lifetime. It's very unique. We also have an office in China which focuses on sustainable fabrics. And as a mill and as a manufacturer of textiles, I just want to go over a few areas where I see growth due to this pandemic, especially which has affected us all. The premium sectors, as we have mentioned and are focusing on in this meeting, are still holding ground. I would say that there has been a significant drop in spending in the premium sector, but the people, very simply, who have money are not affected by the pandemic in as many ways as an individual who doesn't have that type of wealth. So those premium sectors are still holding ground. There is a drop on areas where other people will be using that money for food or rent or resources. So premium sectors are holding ground. The mid-level sectors are not doing good. So if you have your dresses anywhere from let's say $150 to $300, $400, $500, that area is not doing good. The budget brands are doing well, which is your Zara's and Uniqlo's, Inditex, where you are getting good-looking fabric and good-looking clothing at inexpensive prices, because people do use clothing to make themselves feel better. And especially during the lockdown, when things have started opening up, they spend on the simple and small pleasures of life, which are like fashion.
Sorry to interrupt you. Just to get more to the point, I just want to understand, like, because at the end of the day, as a trade show platform, our our what we want is people to make connections. So I just want to understand, Slajana, if Devansh would like to grow his business in your country, how would he go about it? What is the process that he would have to do to get to start selling more of his fabric in your country? Can you just tell us, like, because just out of experience, what would he have to do? What would the process be?
Who? Me or?
No. I said Devansh, since he's a mill and he's looking to expand his business, maybe with your brands, with your cluster of factories. How would he go about connecting with people to start supplying his fabric to your country? How would he go about it?
I need to answer you.
Yeah. I'm just asking you, like, what would be the
Okay,
process?
okay. I was
Because
thinking you
no,
asked them. Okay,
No,
okay.
I just want to try and see how we can interact with each other and connect with each other. So make connections which can go a long way. And then I want to talk to each one of the panelists and then figure out where we can, like, so just asking you, if Devansh would like to grow his business, what is the way he would move forward?
Okay, I understand totally. We supply for our brands. We supply with the fabrics and textile accessories and other things from the fairs. Usually, and by B2B meetings as well. And we organize with them very good B2B meetings. It is usually going through very unofficially and very pro, okay, and we have a support for economic departments of your embassies, and so it is really very, very good organized. With the Turkey, we had with the Turkey, we had it with South Korea, and such as the B2B, but also we are attended Munich Fabric Star and Premier Vision, so it is our point of source.
Slajana, so Premier Vision is doing well for your marketing?
We used to supply our companies from Premier Vision from Istanbul, but okay, this hub is closed. It's not exist anymore because the situation, political situation, and we don't have anymore it. So it is really very pity, but we had another way for our companies to support. It is direct B2B meetings with the association in Turkey.
Have you worked with India?
No, never.
Okay. Do you think that would be an area where you would like to explore? Because there has been a lot of pressure on China to streamline its activities. I know in the USA, they have added 25% import duty on Chinese goods, in addition to the previous duties. So for example, cotton was coming in at 13% import duty. Now it's 38%. So it's become very difficult. But India has got a lot of the business now from China because they don't have those restrictions. So, and we have had to streamline to keep up with China. India has an unorganized sector. We are highly populated. We also are still a third world nation. So the good thing is that because we've had to come up to mark, it's opening up a lot of entry for garment mills due to the lapse in China.
I really would like to start some kind of conversation even with you, but I would really need to say that you cannot expect for us quantities. We are a very small country and we really don't need so much quantities, and minimum need to be reduced, you know.
What is your minimums that you usually buy? Like for a style, you go and for fabric, normally the minimums are like a mill will not do less than 1,000 meters.
That it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So that's okay. Yeah. So if you're doing anything above, I would say 1,500 meters plus, you're okay for the minimum.
Yeah, it's okay. Also, we are interested, for yarns, for cotton, we can talk about, because we have also some kind of production here about underwear.
Yeah, it's actually very good at yarn.
Sweaters, so we now import it from Turkey.
I would actually say India's yarn production is far superior than most countries. If you compare garment production and fabric production, yarn production is very, very good.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Okay, so just before we go ahead, I'm just going to move. Devansh, we're going to come back to you. Prasheen, we're just going to come to you in a minute. Just want to get to Martin. Martin, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, great. I'm enjoying this conversation that's happening and taking place.
No, so I'm just getting to everyone, but I just want everyone to start interacting, so that's what. So Martin, I saw your CV, fabulous CV that you've got out there, and I believe that you're originally from the UK but now based in Singapore.
Yeah, so I will introduce myself and just speak a little bit, I suppose.
Sure.
So I studied and trained as a textile designer, and studied in the UK. So Nottingham-Trent was my home for my birth understanding textiles. As a textile designer, I sold and worked in Premier Vision, and mostly through Indigo. I then, within that, I followed my heart. My heart took me all the way to Singapore. I continued working as a freelance textile designer, connecting with a couple different companies in the UK still. I also then ventured into China, Shanghai Expo, selling of designs. This works with sort of Tech Select and other things that I've done in the past. I'm currently still doing that, as well as generating a new age of textile designers. So Singapore's not really known for its creatives. I'm currently a lecturer in charge at LaSalle College of the Arts. I'm working with students at the moment. So while I create my own textiles, artworks and designs, and I specialize mostly in embroidery myself, I'm building a new age of designers. So I'm working with students throughout Southeast Asia that come from all over sort of Southeast Asia, really. A lot of them are heavily connected within the industry themselves. And a lot of them go on to build and develop and create their own sort of brands. They want to be sort of building their own sort of label in themselves. Myself, I am very much a textile designer at heart, and I continuously produce swatches, designs, and I sell swatches and designs through the UK still. And as a little bit different from the sort of, from industry, I wouldn't be making huge quantity of things. You would send drawings to India, they would get embroidered and it would come back and it would be then sort of distributed through different agents. So that's kind of where I work. I'm currently training to students, but at the same time, I have my own textile design communications. On top of all of that, I write and publish and communicate and work with local craft communities from Southeast Asia. So I'm working with people within
Sorry, when you say Southeast Asia, can you be a little more specific? Because I always it's Southeast Asia gets me a little like, you're gonna get, is it India?
So mostly Malaysia, Indonesia. I want to venture a little bit into a little further up into sort of Cambodia and places. I've been invited many, many times to China. They seem to love me in China, so I keep getting invited back to China all the time. I've been working a lot with the universities in Shanghai, and I'm connecting a little bit with the universities in Shanghai to work with different sort of designers and craft people in Shanghai. I'm very much connected at the moment with a lot of sustainable sort of mills in China and their development as well. So I think that I've been sort of placed at this, and I find myself constantly talking at different trade shows or at at universities, because I'm obviously working as like a lecturer at the moment, and I'm constantly talking at this level and helping sort of businesses develop and grow in a meaningful manner. So this is something that I'm kind of working on at the moment. So it's very much sort of connected within Singapore and its sort of outreaches. So the three main places I would say really are sort of Malaysia and Indonesia. Indonesia, has an immense amount of resources and manpower. It's a really sort of developed conversation with Indonesia. And I think that, working here within this sort of region, I think there's some really interesting conversations that could be had. But again, I look at everything from a textile designer. So I sort of create ideas as opposed to I don't know, this massive
But you know,
fabric.
what you said is, as a designer, because at least what I've noticed is it's the designs that sell. So it's what you showcase at your booths, at shows. That's what sells. So I mean, I think, you know, just to get to your point, what do you foresee, like post COVID right now? Hopefully, we're all going to be getting back to normal. What do you see the industry at, and what is your feedback? Any things that people should focus on? Any things that people should not do? You know, what are any markets that you feel will be growing more? Because I see that you have a lot of experience and you've worked in so many areas. What words of wisdom would you like to give to everybody?
Martin, could I ask you a question also? So can you answer this at the same time? As a textile designer, where do you draw your inspiration from? Because you always have the trends. Now people are following Europe, then the US gets it a bit later. People like
Great question.
So that's very important to know how you inspire yourself and how you forecast your trends, because everyone has a different approach to it depending on the market, or they follow the general trend of the world, which is which is based out of Europe, you know.
Yeah, so I think so. Okay, there's different questions. My inspiration, I think I'm constantly inspired, and I love sort of I have 200 students, but like in the School of Fashion, and I'm in charge currently of the Fashion BA program. So I'm in lecturer in charge of the BA program, and I sort of and this is a BA program that is mirroring the UK system. So we're constantly connected and work with the UK. This year we exhibited in 5 different countries, from Edinburgh College of Arts, Shanghai, Amsterdam. There was 5 different universities that I was working with. The year before that, we worked with the Fashion Institute in New York. So my inspirations come from my students, really. I'm constantly working with all my students, and I drop them an idea. And I have what I love about being an educator is that I have sort of almost like my hands in all of their minds. Whenever I suggest or say something, they're experimenting, exploring, and it's in a weird way, it allows me to explore more of my own ideas. Of course, we follow, and I follow personally within my own line of work, WGSN and everything else. One thing that I don't do is sort of religiously follow this. So as a textile designer, you've got to be ahead of everything.
Yeah.
So for me to get work on WGSN, when I'm at a trade show and they come up to me and ask if they can take a photo of this and put it on their website, I have to be ahead of I have to be their next story. So to be in their next story, I need to sort of almost be against the trend, and I need to just sort of go with my gut. To do that as a good designer, you need to be following your own intuition. You know, at the moment we have COVID and we have all of this conversations. The color this year has obviously been blue. It's been about health. Next year, it's going to be, I think there's going to be brighter. We're over this depression. So you've got to move with it. And I think as a designer, you have this ability to communicate sort of social, political, economic, you have this ability to absorb like a sponge the world around you. And I think this is just, you draw from that. When it comes to sort of selling at trade shows and things, and I think the thing that I focus on is embroidery. So as an embroiderer, I don't just stick to my own discipline. So when I'm at a trade show, if you would see me at my booth usually would be like 1 table or so. It's never a big booth, you know. I used to work through the different people. When you go to Premier Vision, you'll see there's like the traditional names, big names. They have hundreds of people working for them. I used to be one of those nameless designers inside one of those companies. Then I ventured on my own. What I found was that I was able to do better on my own because I was connecting with people. But also, so the people skills is really important when you're on those booths. But I think the biggest thing for me was actually understanding my own work and what sells. So I can draw someone in with like a crazy embroidery or something, but actually it's putting, and this is what I tell to my students, when on those pieces of fabric that sell for, €600-700, it's about 3 or 4 ideas. You can never have one idea on one fabric. This one idea on a fabric is your print designers that are selling, which is pure illustration based, and you need to be producing 1 a day at least, just to get yourself going. So yeah, I mean that's what you're trained in doing. That's what you do. so I'm a multimedia sort of designer. I use, embroidery, prints. I will do weaving. I will do pulled thread work. I'll do many different things. So my designs generally are more expensive. They're more time laborsome, but I build the ideas.
Just a quick question. So the embroidery that you mentioned, is it stuff that you do in-house, or is it outsourced overseas? Where does the embroidery get done?
Okay, so some of the embroidery gets done in India. India is a place, if I've got labor-intensive work to be done, it will get done in India. Myself,
so handwork and stuff like that would be more.
Yeah, handwork. So it's mostly the handwork that I would send there. One thing that that I've noticed is that you've really got to know the factory that you're sending it to. You've got to have a good relationship with who you're working with, because the communication is never the strongest. I work with Indonesia for ikat weaving, which is a dyed woven fabric, and developing different fabrics within Indonesia and craft communities there. But I have my own machineries. I have my own sort of facilities that I produce. As a designer, I produce one-offs. It's more like artwork, I suppose. And by producing those one-off pieces, it allows me just to get through all my ideas. I've worked within certain companies before. And they were big companies, but I was always limited to almost like production and reproducing things. And it was never the direction that I wanted to go into. So I very much love the situation I found myself in, where I'm sort of academic side of me, where I get to write and research, but then the designer side of me still gets to produce these one-off pieces, these artworks that get to, communicate this, other side of myself.
Absolutely. So I want to just get to Prashcheen right now, because Prashcheen is, I think you're doing block printing and stuff like that. Prashcheen, are you there? I think you're going to unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes, I just did.
Why don't you tell us a little more about what you're doing?
So we are basically based in Mumbai, and it's a family business of hand block printing using natural dyes. So the use of natural dyes, it's the dyes that are obtained from plants, roots, and herbs. So these dyes are made from perishable things from the Mother Nature has provided us with such beautiful colors like the natural indigo. Now, the natural indigo is obtained from the leaf of a plant, which is fermented in water, and then the color is extracted from it. So now that color is not soluble in water. So to get it dissolved in water, we use lime. Lime and jaggery is used together so that the fermentation happens and the indigo color gets dissolved in the water, and we get a beautiful indigo shade. Now, I'm sure Martin must be knowing this because he's gone through indigo a lot. So once the fermentation happens, the water of the indigo turns green in color. And when the fabric is dipped in the indigo vat, it turns green. And when you remove the fabric and you spread it open, it oxidizes and then slowly turns into a beautiful blue color.
Okay. Prachin, I have a quick question. What is the color fastness on this? If it's not water soluble, that means it should have good fastness.
Well, indigo is one such color that is not fast. When you dip the fabric again into the water, it will leave color. But that is the indication that it's a natural indigo. If it doesn't,
so how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that bleeding problem in apparel? I mean, is it only you're going to use? I mean, is it preferred to be used for home furnishings then? Because on apparel, if it's gonna bleed out, will it fade, or will it just keep bleeding?
No, it won't fade. That's what I was about to say. That when you dip it in the water, it will make the water blue, but it will not affect the depth of the shade, nor it will fade.
Interesting.
You see, so that when it runs in the water, it's an indication that it's a natural indigo.
Okay.
Just want to get Dolly here as well. That Dolly handles more of technology with fashion. So I just want to get her input before we move into like group discussions as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dolly, you hear me?
Thank you very much. I just wanted to say hi. Not much to contribute here, except that I've been a strong proponent of sustainable fabrics, and especially trying to promote Khadi through my I Am Khadi initiative, which I am doing in India, and we are trying to take Khadi across multiple countries. We've already worked with a couple of countries, trying to really marry the art forms of various countries with the Indian ones, and try to do some cross-pollination through fashion shows and programs that we are doing. Currently, we are running an exhibition called World Trade Expo with the World Trade Organization, and World Trade Center at Mumbai. And this is an online exhibition of almost about 250 exhibitors, mostly working in the handloom sector and Khadi per se. So happy to interact more.
Dolly, is there good movement in the handloom sector? It's because it's those are like novelty items, I would suppose.
So you welcome to really have a look at worldtradeexpo.org. It's online expo, and is still running for another 15 more days. We'll be finishing on 30th of December.
So thank you so much, Dolly. So now just back to Martin. Martin, if someone would like to work with you, how would they go about it? Like, what is the process? What is like, would they have to send you samples, send you an email? What is the way moving forward? If someone wants to like try and like maybe work with you with embroidery or with fabrics, how would they go about it?
Working with me, I mean, I think this notion for working with me is kind of quite relevant, because what I want to do is actually continue promoting also the students that I train. So I have this idea in my head that I want to actually get my students at the trade shows and start bridging the industry with this, the education that I provide.
So you're talking about your student designers who are making designs, yeah, right?
So what I want to do is get them into where, I want to, provide my students with what I've been sort of given. So I think if people wanted to work with me, I have my website. Okay. And you can follow me on my website. You can, I know LaSalle, there's only one Martin at LaSalle College of the Arts in Singapore. So I'm quite easily found, you can find me, and just email, or, conversations can happen very easily through email. I think that most of the time it's also about understanding the sort of role. I have a very sort of, I have a very big role within my working as an educator, working within doing my research, but at the same time, the designer also is a part of that. So it's understanding that there are certain times of the year that I actually will invest in then the design side and produce. So it's not something that's constant. It's not something that I'm doing full time as a designer anymore. But it is something that you need to, that I wouldn't just send designs to any company. Embroidery is a bit expensive just on its own. It can be labor intensive. So there needs to be some sort of portfolio, but also there needs to be an understanding of the capabilities that we work with. So I would, just encourage people just to, drop an email with, whatever their website, whatever's currently their capabilities, time expectations, whatever's happening. I'm very much, with the people that I do work with, I'm obviously, like, at the moment, there's not a mass amount of designs. So I have good communication with people. They'll send me an email to say that you're going to be a bit later because there's bigger orders coming in. And I think as young designers, or as a designer that you're sort of used to this and you're not constantly battling people with the work, you've just got to be agile with that. And this is something that I've grown to know. But also I think it's further bridging with new agents around the region. So a lot of the time,
so that's one thing that we do in Fashionablyin. That's what I was going to get at next. So like you mentioned, agents, Fashionablyin, we connect companies with agents so they can reach closer to different markets. But I just wanted to ask you a question about your students that you were talking about. How do we go about that? Would you like your students to like showcase their stuff at shows? What are you looking at? Because I also think that there's so much talent out there, which would be a great opportunity to get young people and get their insights. So like what would you recommend the best way moving forward in that direction?
Well, the thing that I found hard is that my institute doesn't want to support that at the moment. It's a very heavy cost to go to a trade show, and then, you know, all the students and everything else. So for me, it needs to be something that's feasible. If I take, you know, a selection of students, or if I'm using their work, there has to be sort of it has to be sort of somewhat lucrative in itself. It needs to pay for itself. So if there's an agent involved and it means that I don't have to travel and do certain things, then I'd love the idea of that. If it's me sitting on a booth for, you know, 3 days, that's already quite stressful. But what I want is my students to understand that they're, you know, as a designer, you create this like huge suitcase of materials, whatever, and off it goes with an agent. And I think this is something that I want to promote within certain areas of like Singapore or the region or whatever, because I am incubating these fantastic minds. They have great skill, but also they have great connection towards different communities that specialize in this fantastic craft and talent. So they might have these ideas and they're working with these fantastic people. So it's getting them the exposure, and this is something that I want to do. By sort of promoting them, I think it's sort of, I don't know, becomes something more than myself. It becomes like, I don't know.
So my last question to you before I move to someone else is, before I move to Prashteen and Slajana and Devansh again, is what is your take on copyright infringement? Because I see specifically in your business, in your thing, when it comes to embroidery and stuff, where designs are pretty much, I would say someone would come to a booth, take a photograph or use it. What is your take on and how do designers like yourself protect your work from getting copied or getting knocked off?
This is the fear that we have whenever you, as a designer, you have your own handwriting, and you know when your handwriting is being used. There is no way to safe trade it, you know. I think by doing this, by understanding going to trade shows, I know that people will go there, and if they're not taking photos because the security usually, you know, at Premier Vision and things are quite strong, there is a team of people with a notebook making notes. This is why I say when I'm training my students, but also within my own fabrics, I have 3 or 4 ideas. I have people pick up my fabric and start asking me questions of how I made it. So my textiles, the things that I make, even when I send it to India, I'm actually sending how to make it for these craft people in India. So you've got to make sure that you're doing something that isn't ordinary, that is a little bit different. How do you safeguard that? None of my things that I would be selling would be on social media. If there's ever on social media, it's never going to be sold. You know, this is something I learned the hard way, that people at trade shows will not buy anything if there's a photo online. So everything you do has to be protected. Everything is secretive. But at the same time, as a designer and myself, and this is what I tell my students, you can have those ideas. I have 10 more. I have, you know, I feel like I have an abundance of ideas. So you just got to keep making and keep doing. And I don't really worry about that. I don't really worry about this idea. what the trade show is so heavily guarded anyway when you're there. So I don't have those worries of sort of that. I do sort of tell people, and I won't share with them how I've made it unless they've made the purchase. So, you know, you've just got to, you've got to know the industry a little bit. You've got to be a bit weathered within that. And sometimes you take the hit on certain designs that are quite easily, you know, copied. And that's just part and parcel of it, you know?
Thank you. Does anybody would anyone like to ask a question to Martin or give any feedback on any of the topics just spoken about? I think Devansh, you want to unmute yourself?
Sorry, Martin, when you your artwork, do you sell individually, or you have an array of a group of prints like mix and match or story? Do you sell stories or you sell individual artwork? If you do sell individual artwork, what is the price range of each individual artwork? And do you have a serial number, and do you sign off on it so that it can be copyrighted in the US? You can pay $40 and you can like protect your
Yeah, so I don't copyright my work because it's everything. I produce too many to be copyrighted. So when I'm going to a trade show, I've got, you know, 300-400 pieces of swatches that I'm selling just from my own. And then if I've got other designers that are pairing up with me, you know, so it becomes impossible to copyright and trade things. So really you're there on, and I know designers are really going to be copyrighting those designs. It's impossible to be you know, it's something you can't really do. There's obviously the Creative Commons and things like that. If it was something that would be on, like things that are on my my Instagram or my blog, those things I can protect. Those things that I use as promotional material for myself as a designer. Things that I sell the copyright. So as when you're at the trade show, you're selling the copy, you're selling the rights of that artwork. The artworks are grouped by themes. So there's usually sort of more of a tactile theme, or a two-dimensional theme, and a print-based theme. And they will generally have a color story to them and a different mood and feeling to them. But they're never sort of, they're never really protected. And I think it becomes impossible to protect them.
And what would be the price range of your artworks?
So it varies. For a print, you're looking at maybe like 400 or so euros. Yeah. And
standard 400-500.
Yeah.
Standard price.
And sort of an embroidery can be a little bit more. Woven fabrics, if they're particularly nice woven fabrics, can be a little bit expensive. So your print is usually your bread and butter. And then your embroidery and woven fabrics are the more labor-saving, the more expensive, and generally can be a bit smaller. The prints usually are, A2-ish size or whatever,
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Now, Srijana, just back to you again. Thank you so much for everything. So just want to understand, obviously, COVID has impacted your cluster of companies as well, right?
Yes.
And so what has there been a big impact? What is the future now? Where are the areas that y'all are looking to focus on? Just can you give us a little more insight on that?
Yes, I do. Yes, of course. It's impact a lot as in EU as well. And we really suffered during these days, especially because we were expecting now during the December when it's our main focus of the business and selling, but now we are locked. So we're really suffering a lot, and we will see what is going on in the future. But of course, we need to transform the model of the business. We need to transform a lot of things as well now during this period. We mainly focus on online working and business and promotion, our collection and everything else. So we will see. We are not so much optimistic that we can do our level of turnover during end of the next year. But we have, of course, our own plans to organize study tours for our companies, like missions for main focus fairs in EU as well, maybe in UK. We will see, and we will see what to have our further steps. At this moment, we are really in a situation that we don't know even how it's going on about end of this COVID crisis. We also don't have information about I don't know, vaccination, how it's calling, what's the word is in English?
Yeah, vaccination.
Yeah, so that's it. You know, it is really not a good period, but we will see. You know, we plan, but what is going on? We cannot really, to be honest, we cannot plan nothing before April.
Because I feel, I mean, I'm just with everything happening, and maybe by summer, you know, like you said, maybe post April, I think things should settle down, and then
Yeah.
things will start getting back to normal.
Yeah.
You know, obviously everyone's had a big impact, and it's funny because when I have had different webinars, I've spoken to people, and I've noticed one thing, that companies which are more focused and have niche markets, like people who are more in the niche markets, they've actually doubled their business during the COVID, you know, during COVID. And like, for example, we had an outerwear brand from Germany on our kids wear webinar a few weeks ago. And he said COVID they've never had a better season before, you know? So I'm just trying to ask you, maybe, do you think certain segments are maybe COVID proof, or maybe certain, I don't know, what would you have to say about that? Any ideas?
Yes, when we see our figure about online selling, yes, it is increased than before, because we were not so much focused on online business before as now during the COVID. Yes, it's true, but it is not true that it's helped us a lot to have the same level of our turnover. It is not true. We have a less, and very much less. At this moment, maybe we are suffering 40% less or more, but during the December we will have a final figure, but it is around 30-50%, maybe 20 some companies. Yes, also it is true, when we were open in one period, we see also during the COVID situation, the selling of children is maybe the better than events. So because nobody is going on any kind of events. But if you talking about children clothes, like a sportswear, yes. But if you talking about children for birthdays, party events, no, because it was closed. But if we are talking about outdoor, about sportswear, yes, it was some kind of the selling, but that's it. Okay.
So just getting back to you, you mentioned about brands as well that you manage, right? Now these are all brands from your country that you look after?
Yes.
Now these brands, you said they were selling in stores as well, or are they also they're selling, and so you said there were two parts of your business, right? One was the brands and the other part is the private label?
No, I'm a managing director of the cluster group of the companies. Okay.
Yeah.
And all of that companies are in the fashion, with their own fashion brands.
Okay, so all brands. Now if someone wants to contact these brands or buy from them, how would we contact? Is there a website? Is there a catalog? How do you sell, and please tell me more about how you sell the brands.
Okay. To clarify, okay?
Yeah.
We are like a kind of the cluster, okay? We are like association cluster, and I'm helping companies about promotion, about saving their money, about their study tours and everything, but about their main core business, about their way of selling. And so they are doing it individually. Okay. Why? Because they are the really competitors in the Serbia. Each of my members are the biggest competitor. They have one to other shops, for example, in the main street. So they are really, it's some kind of diplomacy we are working with our companies. That's why I'm not involved in their own business rules. And, you know, we have the common things. The common things are supplying about a good approach to the companies such as they have in India or in Prahin or forever, or to organize for them some study tour, or to promote them in export way, to have their own promotion together, or any kind of other support. They cannot do it individually, or they can, but if they are together, it's a saving of their money, or that's my way of the business.
Absolutely. As a cluster, you do it together. Very, very. So how do we connect? So where do we get a list of these companies? Like,
yes, of course, you are always welcome. It is our website. We have our website of the cluster. It is Fashion Cluster Serbia. We have our Facebook page as well, but you can also through direct email to me, and I can manage and to proceed to the companies you are offers and such things.
Okay, fabulous. Okay, I'm just going to get now to Prashteen because we haven't really got much to you. Tell us more about what do you have to say about COVID, and what is the way moving forward with your business?
Well, COVID has affected the business, but like since Prachin is taking care of all the artisans who are working with us like a family, so we are with them, standing with them, with all their ups and downs, and we are taking care. But the thing is that the artist who works with his blood and soul, who puts his heart and soul into his work, he never gets what he deserves. So that's what with like for a designer, there is a platform like a fashion week. Similarly, there should be a platform for an artisan where he can showcase his products and get the recognition to the desired platform that he actually deserves. So that would help him to come up in life also, as well as the younger generation who works hard will also take interest in in the family work and bring it forward. You see?
So you mentioned you basically work with a lot of artisans, and
yes. I mean, we have our own printing unit under which the artisans do the block printing work. We give them we entire manufacture the entire production of saris, dupattas, stoles, fabrics using all heavy quality handloom silk fabrics like handloom dupion silk, handloom matka silk. So these silks.
And basically, are you selling more in the domestic market, or are you exporting? Would you say export is more of your business?
Like we do sell abroad also, but we have designers like DKNY, Donna Karen, who has visited us at our unit in Mumbai. She had seen the stuff and she was amazingly happy to see the work that we have been doing. Then we had a designer from Japan, if you know Yoji Yamamoto.
Of course, yes.
So he had been here. He has seen our work and he's appreciated our work a lot.
That's Y3, yeah.
So if someone wants to see more of your work, are you going to post? How does someone contact you? Are you going to put your details on the message, or what is do you have a website, or how does it?
We have a website as well as a Facebook page. Our website is www.prachin.com. Okay. And we have a Facebook page called by the name of Prachin. Okay, so that's how one can get in touch with us, and we can help them with the production that we do.
And last question I want to ask you, where do you want to grow your business? Which are the markets that you would like to grow your business in?
Well, we would like, because see, there are a handful of people who appreciate and understand this kind of labor intensive work. But now, since due to the global warming, the demand for natural dyes is increasing because it's eco-friendly, it's non-toxic, non-allergic. So people are coming back to natural dyes. So I'm sure in future, because since the designers from abroad are also taking interest in natural dyes, so I'm future is about natural dyes. So vegetable colors, people are going to use, and we have been seeing since past 5 to 6 years, we have been seeing the increase in the demand for the use of natural dyes. So I would like to conclude by saying that please do the earth a favor, use natural dyes.
Okay, great. So now, since we're just getting towards the end of our discussion, I think we've got to hear quite a few people from all parts of the world. Very interesting. So just to start concluding and everything, I would like. Does anyone want to interact with each other, say something, or get anyone else's feedback? Devansh or Martin or Sajana, anything? Would anyone? Dolly, please.
I think if everyone shares their details, we can start communicating with each other. Each one has a specialty, and obviously we're here for the same reason, is where to promote our businesses and increase our productivity. That would be a good start.
Sorry, on which way we can be in exchanging our emails and so?
So I'll just explain to you what we do at Fashionablyin. So Fashionablyin, we do a show twice a year in London. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, hopefully we're going to be doing it again in July and September. We usually do it in February and September. We had to cancel September this year. We did it in February. And I think, again, this coming February is going to be a little doubtful with everything going on. Now they're saying a new mutated strain is out there. So, it's looking a little doubtful till, but hopefully July, we'll be back. But basically at Fashionablyin, we do two kind of things. We do trade shows and we do virtual shows with the main aim and purpose to connect companies with sales agents, buyers, and press. Because we've realized that when you go to a trade show, you go to Premier Vision, you go to any of these big shows, or at the end of the day, what do you want? You want sales agents who can represent you. You want buyers who are going to buy your product, and you want, I mean, if you're a brand or you're a big company, you want journals to do stories on you, on your company, which basically ends up in better coverage and eventually, obviously, brand recognition, and which leads to sales. So we try and give you this service at a fraction of a cost, which we've been doing for many years now, multiple years. We actually started doing the virtual service before we started doing our shows, and over the years we found a niche, and we're kind of successful in doing it. Like, we got all of you here today. Every other week we do different events connecting people, more segmented and more targeted. So, like, for example, yesterday we had a webinar which was more focused on home decor. The week before that, kids wear. The week before that was women. I mean, different sectors, and then we're going to do menswear, jewelry, shoes, different sectors. So, like I mentioned, it's all about connecting people, and that's how the business is today, and at the end of the day, you never know. Today you're having a conversation with someone. Tomorrow we're probably in a restaurant in Singapore having some Chinese food with Martin. So how that's how the world is. It's so small and so connected, and it's fabulous. And in a way, I'm not saying COVID is a good thing, because I've already had COVID, so I'm done with it, But I'm just saying it's actually taught us to move virtual, which is great. And I don't think we would have been doing all these video webinars before, And so, like I mentioned, I want to understand. I'd like to maybe chat with each one of you on a more individual level, and understand how we can work together, because we have a show, we have contacts, we have databases, we've been doing this for many years, how we, like, for example, Slavana, how we can chat, how we could grow your business, how we could, we're based in the UK, maybe with shows, with connections, with things. Same with Martin. Same way in both sides. Martin, maybe we can connect you with suppliers. We have very good embroidery suppliers. Same way we can also help you with your students and stuff like that. and maybe they could give us ideas or even do virtual internships with us. Same with Prashchin, we could grow your business, give you new markets. And Devansh is a client of ours that we've been working with for many years, you know. So Devansh is someone that we're working with his mill. We've taken his samples, we've gone, shown them, and trying to expand his business overseas in all kinds of, you know, in the UK, in America, and all these places. So that's what I mentioned. At the end of the day, it's all about connections, you know, and that's what we've seen. And business is built in relationships. At least I've seen the biggest deals that I've done, and the more business that I've done has always been with relationships, you know. And someone said this to me the other day, a very interesting fact actually. Someone said the more interaction that you have with a client, the more likely the client is going to buy from you or do business with you, you know. So same with us now. I mean, that's stuck in my head. The more interaction we have with people, we look at, you know, trying to, you know, grow our business, grow their business. You know, at the end of like these webinars we do are completely free, with the just to make people get to know us, and obviously even get to know each other, you know. So please feel free to say something before we conclude. You know, I'm so grateful and thankful that all of you have given this hour to come on board, and we've had people from all over the world, which is interesting. So Devansh, would you like to say something? Prashchin, please. Devansh, Martin.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You start, please. Go ahead.
Yeah. So no, again, business has been very difficult, and as you said, people are looking for value, and value doesn't mean it has to be cheap. Value could be anything that actually creates a feeling of having a product which has a life and longevity, and with honest hard work. So again, I will just send an email out to the panelists about my company and see how we can work together. And I've sent a link to all of you on what we do, which is manufacturing, weaving and printing of rayon and cotton. And if there's ever a requirement, then you can always contact me. You should take a look at the link. It's basically a Dropbox link of different types of patterns that we have done. There's several links, but it'll give you an idea of our designs and our portfolio. Thank you.
Martin, anything Martin you would like to say?
No, I mean, it's been great listening to everybody. I think it's really interesting to see the different perspectives, also different industry, and have everywhere that, you know, we all represent something a little bit different. So from my side, you know, it'll be interesting just to see what we can develop if I work with different people and develop some new ideas. I always love pushing different ideas. So even if it's, you know, different places around the world. I know it's a bit, I feel like sometimes I speak for my students as well, and I get mixed up with my own voice. But you know, Prashchin, you're saying it's like Mumbai or different places in America or wherever. My students come from all of these places, and they're always wanting to get jobs in these places as well. So whatever you know, think of me also, that if there is something that you need more interns or support in other ways to create creative ideas or design, I feel like I have, you know, a wealth of fantastic students that I want to put forward as well. So yeah, not just to promote myself or my own ideas. I feel like I'm quite successful in my own ability, but I have, you know, 200 students to support as well.
Yeah, fabulous.
So
yeah, great.
with that, thanks. Yeah.
And sorry, Prashchin, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to say to Martin that we also do conduct workshops for students also, as well as for people who are interested to come and have a look. So we have created a workshop for College of London, UCL.
Oh, wow.
For them, we had about 20 to 25 students from that institute who came and did hands-on, and they really enjoyed the workshop that we did.
Bravo.
Yeah, great.
Bravo.
And Snojana, would you like to say something as well?
Yeah, I was just about to say that I come from technology background, but my interest in sustainability and fashion as an upscaling the current work of Indian artisans and weavers is what really brought me to really develop one of the first fashion tech hackathon last month. And we did a 1 month long event. We concluded it on 4th of this month. Considering that there were a couple of holidays because of Diwali in India. But it was a 1 month program in which we had a boot camp followed by the hackathon, and came up with some very interesting ideas. We also had two major experts in fashion tech area, one from Netherlands, Mrinal Gubade. He is a doctorate in technology, especially artificial intelligence, and he is a startup in Netherlands. Also, we had startup bootcamp Milan, Fashion Tech Accelerator MD to speak at both of them gave keynotes, one at the inaugural and one at the finale. And we had more than 200 participants from all over the country, from small towns to Delhi, Mumbai, and Lucknow, and all kinds of cities in between. The idea that I've been trying to promote is that if we can bring in the technology interventions to support the fashion as well as sustainability. So I'm working in the intersection of these two, and upskilling the current work of most of the local artisans and local weavers to bring them closer to the technology and adopt technology, at the same time helping the students to adopt new ways of doing things right from college days. So I'd be happy to interact with all of you and see how we could take it to multiple countries. Been doing that for last 3 years, and almost about 10,000 students I have done in the past in various sectors, fashion being the latest.
So Dolly, you should definitely get in touch with Martin. I think there's definitely some synergy with the students and everything. And I just want to ask anyone else in the audience, would anyone else like to say something before we close the session? Feel free. Does anybody else over here want to say something? Otherwise, just would like to say thank you again. Thank you so much for coming. And I hope that we can all work together, connect with each other, and look at. I think there's one question. Agent, Fantastic Indian Company Ventures. Okay, just want to see if anybody else wants to talk. Just reading the chat. Does anybody want to say something just to conclude? Any words of wisdom? Sujana, anything that you'd like to say to conclude?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for invite us. It is the first time that we have such kind of all over the world conversation. So maybe now you know about that in Serbia is going on some fashion.
Of course, okay. of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have everyone famous in London, Roxanda Ilincic. So she's really one of the famous, maybe.
Oh, you're saying Roxana Serbian, really?
Yeah,
wow.
We are attending the same university. Yeah.
Wow. That's Roxana's big, really big. Roxana also does a lot of embroidery, if I'm not mistaken, in her collections. Yes. A lot of embroidery and
now
stuff.
On a new collection, she put also handmade patching, and so I have seen. So she's coming regularly on the Belgrade Fashion Week with some topics, because she would like to be present, because she's coming from here.
Wow. So great. Let's connect in the next. I don't know, does everyone go for holiday now in Serbia? How does it work? Because I know in London now everyone's like, from the next few days, everyone's like, I'm on holiday. Just call me. Yeah. Is that how it works? Is that how it is in Serbia as well?
Because mainly population is Orthodox. Okay. And our Christmas in 7th of January.
Oh yeah, yes. Same like the Russians, right?
Yes. Now we are working. Okay. Until New Year. After New Year, we are a little bit slowed down.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So,
thank you.
Yeah, thanks again, and really appreciate all of you here, and just look forward to constructive business in the future. Yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you so
Have a
much.
nice
Bye.
New
It
Year.
was a pleasure meeting you.
Than this one.
Yeah. Bye bye. See you.
Bye.